Geothermal prospect area can be utilized not only for fulfilling the electricity demand, but also for the other utilization of geothermal derived power, such as green hydrogen production, heat process industry, and the other direct use of application. Geothermal power installed capacity is targeted to reach 18 gigawatt by 2060. This ambitious target will involve many technology innovation and new business schemes to keep the affordability and competitiveness of the geothermal project. Several innovations that can be adapted in Indonesia, including green hydrogen production from geothermal energy, low-medium enthalpy geothermal development, geothermal utilization from oil and gas well, supercritical geothermal development, hybrid operation with other renewable and other non-conventional geothermal projects. Geothermal needs to be developed massively in order to take over the load because on its characteristic that's suitable to serve base load. Because we know that the geothermal power plant is similar in specification or technical specification to replace the coal-fired power plant in the near future that will be phased out. The government Indonesia has initiated several specific programs to boost geothermal development, such as the geothermal steam and electricity price through president regulation on renewable energy or electricity price. Geothermal infrastructure support construction access road by Ministry of Public Works and Housing, government drilling program and exploration funding to lower exploration risks, ease and land use licensing process on conservation forest, and assurance of water use permit specifically on conservation forest. Exemption of land and building tax on exploration phase to increase project economic and attractiveness. Acceleration of geothermal infrastructure financing or PISP utilization both for state-owned enterprise and private sector. And 7, development of geothermal binary power plant using brine and idle wells with total capacity around 155 megawatt. One of the main challenges in geothermal development is the uncertainty of resources, which increase the business risks prior to exploration drilling. Therefore, government has launched two schemes of government drilling, namely government drilling through geological agency atau badan geologi, and collaboration with Ministry of Finance and PT SME. The Nage project has drilled by geology agency last year. We found high temperature and high pressure from the exploration well. So then the exploration program is considered to be successful. Geothermal working area Nage will be tendered by the end of 2022 or early 2023. To provide financing, we are collaborating with Ministry of Finance, PT SME, and the World Bank, and launched two de-risking scheme: the Geothermal Energy Upstream Development Project, or GODP, and the Geothermal Resource Risk Mitigation, or GRAM. The GODP program aims to conduct government drilling through PT SME and PT Geodipa Energy. There are several ongoing projects in Waisano, East Nusa Tenggara, Jailolo, North Maluku, and Bituang, South Sulawesi. There are also several technologies for utilizing geothermal energy that are used in the world. This technology is utilized by looking at the condition of existing resources in the geothermal field. The following technology has been used in Indonesia. The first and dry steam cycle has been implemented at Kamojang and Darajat field. Single flash steam cycle has been implemented at Lahendong and Salak field. Double flash steam cycle has been implemented at Moralabo and Ranto Dedap fields. Binary cycle has been implemented at Sarula, Sorik Marapi, and Sokoria field. Combined cycle has been implemented at Sarula and Sorik Marapi fields. Modular geothermal power plant has been implemented at Sokoria and Sorik Marapi field. Small-scale geothermal power plant has been implemented in several existing fields in Dieng and Lahendong small scale. Meanwhile, hybrid power plant and enhanced geothermal system (EAGS) technology are currently not being utilized in Indonesia. A geothermal project will create job opportunity in many fields and level of expertise, such as high-skilled job for geothermal exploration, operation and maintenance of a geothermal system, and low-skilled job for construction that can be filled from the local hire. Geothermal development also needs support from all stakeholders, including academic institutions and research centers, considering many new technological improvement and innovation. The university are expected to be involved in many actions, such as preparing future energy experts and specialists, promoting geothermal project and opportunity to community, take part in geothermal research, constructing innovation, providing early experience in geothermal industry, and collaborating project with geothermal developer, participating in primary survey assignment atau penugasan survei pendahuluan activity, transfer of knowledge both from lecturer and industrial practitioner. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, we require all the geothermal stakeholders here to collaborate in developing new variety of business scheme and more technology innovation in geothermal energy. Together, we can make geothermal project to be able to play a great role in achieving net zero emission Indonesia by 2060 or early. Thank you very much. And the floor is, I'll give back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Pandu, thank you so much for the discussion. Now we'll have a quick question and answer session. So we've collected one question from the participant. This is a question by Anonymous. The question is, knowing that today we have energy crisis, not only in Indonesia, but also in every country. The question is there any strategy by the government to strive from this situation? Mr. Pandu, what do you think about this question?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I think Indonesia is in the crisis here for energy. We know that the crisis in Indonesia just for the oil and gas, because we know that we have used about 1.5 thousand barrel per day, but we just produce oil at 80,000 barrels per day. So we must import about 900,000 barrels a day. That's a very significant depress our devisa, or currency. So to do that, we have a roadmap that we must not to change the oil gas dependency to the renewables, that a lot of potential in Indonesia. We have a not zero emission roadmap that the Indonesian roadmap will make us resilient to the crisis of energy in the near future. Thank you.
Got it. So, Mr. Pandu, the answer to this question is from the government of Indonesia to conquer energy crisis is that we have a roadmap in place, and that we have to continue with this roadmap and do that with resilience. Mr. Pandu, thank you so much for your answer. And thank you so much for your time for today. I believe that all of our participants have learned a lot from you. Once again, I would like to say thank you so much for your time, and I will see you again soon. Thank you so much, Mr. Pandu. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our first keynote speaker. Now, we'll continue with the second keynote speaker. This speaker is the representative of Pak Bahlil Lahadalia as the Minister of Investment Indonesia, will be represented by Mr. Indra Darmawan as the Deputy Bidang Perencanaan Penanaman Modal Kementerian Investasi BKPM. So, Mr. Indra has an executive education in Harvard University. And previously, Mr. Indra also served as the expert for Minister on Macroeconomy to discuss the topic of the need of energy disruption from Indonesia's trade and investment perspective. Welcome, Mr. Indra. Mr. Indra, are you on the call with us?
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay,
Can
good
you hear me
afternoon,
now?
Mr. Indra. Mr. Indra, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here, and thank you very much for having me in this wonderful occasion. So, greeting from Pak Bahlil Lahadalia, our Minister for Investment.
Okay, apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I think there's a technical issue. We'll wait for a couple of minutes for Mr. Indra to join us back again.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, hello, Mr. Indra, we can hear you again. I think you're
Yeah.
back with us. Okay,
Sorry
Mr.
for
Indra,
that.
you may continue.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
sorry for that technical glitch. So after Pak Pandu have already discussed quite comprehensively about the technicality on geothermal, I would like to perhaps touch upon the perspective on investment and also some renewable energy in general. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know that Indonesia has set an ambitious goals, a target, a promise, a pledge to achieve clean energy transition. So, in particular, Indonesia aimed to increase the share of renewable in its energy mix by 23% by 2025. And reduce the energy consumption across end users to 17% by 2025. So right now, the position is 11%. So it's still quite a long way to go in fulfilling our energy mix target. Clean energy, ladies and gentlemen, is also a key element of Indonesia national determined contributions, our targets, that aim to reduce our country's emission by 29%, unconditional and conditional by 41%, compared to a business as usual scenario by 2030. This is accounting for more than a third of targeted emission reduction by 2030. As we know, while the country, Indonesia, has made some progress, there is much to do. There is still much homework to do to achieve these goals. As I mentioned today, the level of renewable is around 11% of the energy mix, while progress in energy efficiency is still around 17%. So meeting those targets, those pledge, those promises, those ambitions will require a massive increase in private investment. So we need money for that. So achieving the net zero target or our NDCs in energy and transport sector, for example, this require an annual money investment of around 23.6 billion until 2030. So in the next 10 years, we need to generate 23 billion annually. And our state budget can only cover maximum 28 to 29% of that. So there's still a gap of financing of renewable investment. So given these needs, so it is important to mobilize Indonesian financial sectors and investment from domestic as well as international capital flow will be crucial. So we need to address this financing gap to finance our our need to fulfill our target in meeting the renewable energy target, including this geothermal. So as also Pak Pandu have elaborated more technically in details about the pictures of the geothermal development in Indonesia. I just mentioned something about the value of foreign investment so far in geothermal. In the last 10 years, the investment in geothermal is recorded around 1.1 billion US dollar from around 27 foreign companies that have realized their investment. These include like Sejahtera Alam Energy from Germany in Central Java, Sokoria Geothermal from Singapore in Nusa Tenggara Timur, and other location that is also being shown from Pak Pandu presentation. So, however, we still have a long way to go to realize our potential. Our potential in geothermal is huge, but the utilization rate is pretty low. So also the overall utilization rate for renewable in total is also low as 2%. So what we need is to increase more investment in this important sector, this geothermal, because we have a huge potential to be realized in this particular sectors. But the challenges remain. The challenges comes from technology, but we have seen some progress on that, like a double steam, double cycle, or any other type of technology that Pak Pandu have already described. We need to also make those technology available. Secondly is the challenges on capital. As we all know, among the 27 projects is dominated still by foreigners. So we need to mobilize domestically too, in terms of capital available to develop geothermal projects. The other challenges is around regulation, including the competitive feed-in tariff, for example, that could attract investment, as well as the easiness of licensing. Recently, we made some progress to do the licensing through electronic platform, the so-called online single submission. So start beginning to establish a company and then to process the subsequent license. Right now it's being processed electronically through that platform. So the last item that I want to touch upon is the role of young people, the youth, in a drive toward more sustainable agenda, especially on the geothermal sectors. As the title of this webinar suggests the need for energy system from Indonesia investment perspective, that the youth, the young people, can take initiative, take a lead to initiate innovation. So as we know that young people is full of energy and enthusiasm that can be used to initiate innovation and actively involve in directing regional or national policy. Young people can also pay a lot of contributions to promote and support sustainable productions and consumption pattern. So the role of young people as a consumer is really strong, that can drive more and more companies to move toward more greener type of productions and ask for more sustainable products. This can also have the big impact for development of this sustainable development, including in the geothermal sectors. And also the effort from the event like JIWA thermal, like today, is very important to increase the literacy. How many people do you think understand jargon or the meaning of, say, net zero, carbon offset, carbon footprint, framework for green energy, or something like that? So I don't think that much. So we need to increase the literacy of the society, especially the young people, to understand these concepts. And the increased literacy will definitely increase compliance. So I think that is very important for us to always educate society, especially young people, to better understand about the role of renewable energy for the national development. I think that's all that I can share today in this wonderful occasion. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Awesome, Mr. Indra, thank you so much for your time. I think we're honored to have you, and I think what you spoke about was something that is very insightful. So we've collected a question. Actually, this is a question coming from me. So you mentioned that we will need a budget of 23.6 billion for us to achieve net zero emission for Indonesia, and then the government only able to cover around 28 to 29%, right? So there is a financing gap here. And then for us, of course, to close this, we need foreign investors. But then I guess we understand that the way for us to attract foreign investors will be to simplify or to make it easier for them to invest in Indonesia, one of them being through the licensing, the OSS that we have. But I guess to our understanding, that only makes it easier for them to invest in Indonesia, not necessarily making it pay out for the investors. So from the Indonesia trade and investment perspective, how do we ensure foreign investors know that if they were to invest in Indonesia, one day it will pay out to them? Are we looking at net present value that we provide for them, or what's the strategy from Indonesia's government on this?
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely important to make sure that the investor, foreign or domestic, is convenienced to do business here. However, just for the general information, Indonesia is still considered as a net an attractive investment destination according to the UN data. It ranked number 17 last year. We are above France, Vietnam, and Japan actually. So we still Indonesia is still considered an attractive investment destination. But this does not mean that we are problem-free. We are still a lot of work to be done. Yes, we do have the simplified licensing procedures, but it is not perfect. It still have to be improved here and there. But yet, so far, the progress are there. If I may inform you that every day that license, the OSS platform, have produced around 7,000 to 9,000 license per day. So altogether, from the inauguration of that license a year ago, we have managed to publish around 1.6 million license already. But yet, there's still room for improvement. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you so much, Mr. Indra. That was very insightful. Once again, we're honored to have you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Our pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen and participants, that was our second keynote speaker. Now, to continue with our main event today, we'll welcome our third keynote speaker. This speaker is the representative of Pak Julfi Hadi as the President of Director of PT Medco Cahaya Geothermal, who will be represented by Mr. Isto Janata Saputra as Subsurface Manager of PT Medco Cahaya Geothermal. Mr. Isto is the geothermal geoscientist, structural geologist, and explorationist with more than 10 years of experience in geothermal industry as well as oil and gas exploration. To discuss the topic of geothermal technology investment in Indonesia, from the perspective of the government, we welcome Mr. Isto Janata Saputra. Mr. Isto, are you on the call with us?
Yes. Yes, thank you, Pak Edward.
Okay, Mr. Isto, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Just a second. Okay, can you see my screen now? Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to send best regard from Pak Julfi Hadi. He is on a business trip today, so couldn't join this wonderful event this afternoon. Secondly, I would like to thank Lima to invite Medco Cahaya Geothermal to this event, and then send my best regard to Pak Haris, represented by Pak Pandu, Pak Bahlil, and Lahadalia, and represented by Pak Indra Darmawan, and then later on Pak Sadik Zaruk and Dr. Kasumi Yasukawa. And then thank you for all the participants who joined this event. This afternoon, I would like to talk about the little bit geothermal exploration, and then the technology advancements based on the industry point of view. So this afternoon, we will talk a little bit about the Medco power. What is Medco power? And then the second, we'll talk about the geothermal system. This is just introduction about the geothermal system. So before we go into the why, it is really important that we have a technology advancement in geothermal. Okay, let's start. If you heard about the Medco Energy, you will think about the oil and gas company. However, since 2004, Medco Energy has a energy transition plan, and then incorporate Medco Power. The Medco Power is basically the company that providing the power as in the power producer, and then providing services for electrical company. So we have a hydro, we have carbon reduction aspect, and then solar PV, wind, as well as the geothermal. In the geothermal platform, we have like a Sarula geothermal, 330 megawatt, and then we have EGN geothermal. Now is an ongoing development stage, and then we have planned to further develop geothermal energy to have like more than 1,000 megawatt electricity. And then here, the plan to expand the 1,000 megawatt plus. So we plan to expand and develop Sarula, Ijen, and Bonjol. Bonjol is in the early exploration stage. You can see on the map below. The Sarula is on North Sumatra, Bonjol in West Sumatra is in the early exploration stages, and then Ijen with 110 megawatt in East Java. It will be the first geothermal power. Oh, I'm sorry, just lost my connection a second ago. Can you see my screen now?
Have little technical difficulty. Sir, are you back with us?
Yes, I think Pak Edward.
Okay, got it.
Can you see my screen as well?
Continue. Yes.
Okay, this is the plan to expand our target to have like more than 1,000 megawatt electricity from a geothermal. So just a second. Okay, why partnering with Medco Power? Because Medco continues to implement the operational excellence philosophy. We have an in-house geothermal expertise from subsurface drilling, reservoir engineer, well testing project with hands-on philosophy. And then we are keen to implement the latest technology in well testing, reservoir technology, and etc. to have to deliver the data safely. And then process driven in Medco, we call it a MPEP or Medco Project Excellence Process as a key assurance. So all the projects in Medco should pass this the project excellence process. Okay, next we'll talk a little bit about the geothermal system, and then it go on with the technology advancements. So if what is geothermal energy? Basically, geothermal energy is the energy that is available below the Earth's surface. And then the key element of geothermal system, we have a heat source, we have a reservoir, where is it like a container and the fluids over there, and then in the caprock. So this is the conventional geothermal system. If you look at the two pictures on the left, basically the geothermal system can be analog like boiling water. You have like the hot rock here as the heat source, and then the rocks above it that containing the water as the reservoir or the container. And then you should have like a caprock up there, like a lid on the kettle to preserve the hot water or steam and not going into the surface. So this is the basically the conventional geothermal system. And then in the other part of the world, the geothermal system probably only association with the hot rock here or hot dry rock. However, in Indonesia, the association of this geothermal is with all volcanoes. If you look at the right figure over here, the association was with the volcano. If you remember, a ring of fire of Indonesia from Sumatra to Java and then Sulawesi, all of the potential 2.4 gigawatt geothermal prospect in Indonesia is associated with this one. So if we have really high prospect in geothermal for like Pak Indra said before, the utilization rate is really low from this geothermal. Okay, next we will talk about the technology in geothermal. Before we go for there, this is the, I'm sorry, can I move this one? Okay, this is the project phase in geothermal. The phase one is the study. We would like to find what is the prospect of the geothermal. So this process could take 1 year, and then after we know that where is it, and then we make a hypothesis for that geothermal prospect. We need to prove the one with exploration drilling. Could take another 1 year, and then if we prove there is a geothermal energy potential, we will need to drill more wells, and then it'll take like 3 years, and then later on we need to construct and develop the field to produce the electricity. It could take 2 to 3 years before we could produce, or we could deliver the electricity for more than 30 years. So basically, from the beginning into the production stage, it will take like 7 to 8 years. But this is quite fast compared in industry. You know that many field needs more than 10 years to develop the from the green field into developing the electricity. Okay. Okay, that one is the stages in the developing a geothermal field. Next, we will talk about the geothermal exploration and then how we explore the geothermal basically. So in here, if you can see the cross section in the middle of the slide, at first you only see the surface. Only see this surface here. You have a manifestation. Some field don't have many a surface manifestation like this one in EGen, in just one in our field. We don't have this kind of manifestation at the beginning. So yeah, first you will look at the surface and then to look at the where is the potential of this geothermal, and then sampling this surface manifestation to identify what is going on in the subsurface. You can see here the depth of this cartoon in here down to like 5 kilometers from the surface, and then we are using the geophysics to make like a picture or a figure. How is it in the subsurface? We are using the MT. Basically, there is I think currently there is the only available tool to make like an image, 3D image of the subsurface with really not with little bit sufficient for to see the subsurface. And then we have the gravity, magnetic, then microearthquake to understand what is going on in here. And then after we make we call it this a concept. How is the geothermal system underneath the surface? And then after we make the concept, after we make the hypothesis, we need to drill like exploration drilling before. Usually we drill this one and then prove the temperature, prove the system, and then usually we think early on the system is could deliver like let's say 110 megawatt or 200 megawatt. After we drill, that's not that's not as big as we predicted before, or the system is located somewhere else. So that's the uncertainty, because we are talking about the subsurface in here, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers.
Okay, I think there is a little bit of technical difficulty again. Mr. We'll wait for a couple of minutes for Mr. Isto to be back with us. Mr. Isto, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Isto, we lost you a little bit. I think you're back with us now. You may continue. Hello, Mr. Isto, are you with us? Once again, I would like to say our apology for the technology issue. Once again, we will wait for a couple of more minutes for Mr. Isto to be back with us.
Hello, Pak Edward. I'm so sorry.
Yes,
I
okay,
don't.
Mr. Isto, we can hear you. All right.
Okay. Yep. I'm sorry. Just a second. Let me load the screen first. Okay. Let me continue. Yeah, basically, this is the process we try to identify from the surface, and then we try to understand the subsurface, and then how our geothermal system is developed, and then we drill that one. We make the 3D model of it, and then we make a numerical model to see the potential of the system. Okay, back again. In industry, at the end of the day, it's all about the profit. Could we make a profit from this potential or from the geothermal prospect? We talked about the exploration before, or the subsurface race, where at the beginning, until we drill, until we have a test drilling, we have really high uncertainty, because we're talking about 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer underneath the below the surface. And then after we drill, we have more understanding about the geothermal system, and then we make a further study, or we call it a feasibility study, to develop the electricity from geothermal. And then we have like still before we develop that field, we still have like a 50 to 45% uncertainty. And then here we drill the potential, and then let's say if we want to build like a 55 megawatt, we need like 4 to 5 wells to drill that one. And then one well could cost like 7 to 8 million US dollar. So it is really high. And then after that, you need to construct the power plant and facilities. Could take like 40 million US dollar. So this one is really this is the common this is the ideal scenario where you drill the well first to tap the energy to tap the geothermal energy, and then build or construct the power plant, usually to save the time during between you have like a simultaneous operation between drilling and construction. So if this one is not as expected, yeah, the project cannot move, so you have like a double risk over there. Okay, that's on the exploration. Once again, the uncertainty, because we are talking about the subsurface, is on the prospect or on the subsurface itself. So the geothermal technology advancements. So like I said before, we are talking about the subsurface, and then the technology and geothermal is not as advanced as in the oil and gas industry. One of it, because in Indonesia, geothermal is associated with volcanic rocks, where we couldn't apply like a seismic from oil and gas into the geothermal field, so we don't have like a clear image about the subsurface. However, I heard about the research center in overseas. They are developing the MT data to be able to like have more precision data to map the subsurface. So yeah, on the subsurface of resource, we need to have like more research, more to help the industry, or to help the expert pin out where is the source of this geothermal. And then I think we should have like a national database system for the subsurface data or for the geothermal here, because we know that we have developed many fields, but the access of the one it's not real good, because for the green fields, let's say like EGen, we have limited data. If we know that other fields have similarities with that one, it will like support us to make the further decision. And then the last one on subsurface of resource, we have limited expertise in geothermal. So I think if we have like a national geothermal center of excellence, where the company or the industry could go to the one to discuss about the subsurface, to discuss about the uncertainty on here, it will be really, really good. And then on the drilling or well testing, like I said before, for one well, for big hole well, it could take like a 7 to 8 million US dollar to just drill one well. And then for develop like a 55 megawatt, we would need like 5 to 6 wells, or 4 or to 6 well. So it is really, really expensive. So if there is a technology or way to cut this drilling costs, there are some technology overseas that if we could utilize that one, it will be really helpful for the industry. And then the online monitoring system, I think the COVID-19 also bless us with the improvement of technology, with the online system. Before, we don't really touch this part in the industry, but because of the COVID-19, we need to be creative and then think about what we can do if we couldn't able to send people to the field, what we can do to just like a monitor, or to see the process of the well testing, the drilling, and etc. So yeah, developing the online monitoring system in here could cut costs, and then help us to make a decision. And then lastly, on the power plant technology, like I said before, the power plant could take up more than 30% of the capex on the geothermal. So if we could make efficiency in here, it will be really, really help the industry. And then many of geothermal fields in Indonesia facing the scaling problem, the silica scaling, and then etc. And about the acid system, we have in Saru, like we have a problem with the acid. So if we have technology to handle that one, to mitigate the one, it will be really helpful. And then talking about the cost, if we could bring the technology and then manufacture the power plant in Indonesia, it will be really, really help the industry as well, because we could cut costs in here. I think there is, and then the takeaways from this presentation: one, for geothermal energy, the main risk is in the subsurface risk. So if we could have the innovation in here to help the expert, to help the geoscientists to pinpoint the exact location where is it will be really helpful. The second, it could take 7 to 10 years from exploration to production. The technology advancement on drilling and the power plant, it will be really helpful as well for the industry. And then number 3 is the expert in geothermal. The people who work in a geothermal knows that we have a limited expert in here, and then many of them is quite old. So yeah, we have like a build could have the Indonesia Center of Excellence will be really helpful, and then the student or the young people in the industry could go to them. And then I think lastly here for the student of the campus could be the pioneer on the geothermal technology advancements or the research center. I heard about the ITB research center for geothermal, and then in UGM, University of Gajah Mada, have the research center for the geothermal, as well as the I5 it here, one of the research center for on the industry. So yeah, advancing the technology in the geothermal, it will be really helpful for the industry. I think that's all. Thank you very much for the attention. Terima kasih.
All right, Mr. Rizzo, we would like to say thank you so much for the explanation. I think I would like to emphasize on the last key takeaways that us students and campuses can also be the pioneer for technology investment in geothermal industry, right? Okay, so Mr. Rizzo, we have one question from the participant, and this is from Victor. And the question is, what do you think about the usage of AI technology in the future for geothermal industry? And for Medco itself as a company, is there a plan to use AI technology to help the overall company's operation?
Yeah, I think the AI, this is quite new for many of us, the artificial intelligence. However, I think it will be really helpful because, like I said before, especially for the green field or the field is still in the exploration stage, we need to look at many analogs or the example from the other fields before we make the decision. So if we have the database, if we have the artificial intelligence pinpoint us, okay, this system is similar with this one, it will be really helpful. And then the expert, like I said before, the expert, many of them is old, and then limited people have the experience to look at the many field, right? And then us as a human could forget some probably the details, something like that. So the artificial intelligence could really help in the exploration program in geothermal, I think. And then, yeah, Medco, like I said before in the beginning, we are keen to adopt a new technology that is available to help us to develop the geothermal. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Risto, for your answer. And that's all the questions that we have. Once again, we'd like to say we're honored to have you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yep. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with our fourth keynote speaker. The speaker we have for the fourth one is Mr. Sadiq Zaruk. This is the co-director of Geothermal Institute, New Zealand. And Mr. Sadiq, he has 24 years experience in geothermal energy training and research. He already worked in various geothermal fields, such as New Zealand, Australia, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and North America. To discuss the topic of geothermal technology and education overview, an update from New Zealand, we welcome Mr. Sadiq. Mr. Sadiq, are you with us on the call? Mr. Sadiq Zaruk, are you with us? All right, participants, I think we'll have to wait for a couple of minutes for Mr. Sadiq to set up the internet and join us. Mr. Sadiq, once again, we would like to inquire if you can hear us. All right, I think we have Mr. Sadiq with us now. Mr. Sadiq, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we'll give the floor to you. The floor is yours. Mr. Sadiq, to
Sorry, can you see my presentation?
yep, awesome. We can see it. All right, you may continue. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll be talking today about the geothermal technology education. It's an update from New Zealand. Background, I'm an associate professor of geothermal engineering at the University of Auckland. Been in this industry for more than 25 years and focus mainly on geothermal energy training, research. Member of the New Zealand Geothermal Association since 2011 and was a member of the IGA 2013 to 2020. Also a member of the organizing committee of the New Zealand Geothermal Workshop, and I'm an associate editor at Geothermics. And New Zealand is a world leader in geothermal energy technology and education. Currently, we generate slightly above 1,050 megawatts of installed capacity, accounting to about 18.1% of New Zealand power production. More developments are on the way, especially the Tahara geothermal power plant, which is 168 megawatt single shaft triple flash. That's basically the world's largest single shaft turbine, and planning commissioning at the end of 2023. Geothermal energy will play a key role in the New Zealand government plans in shifting towards decarbonization of the geothermal, the electricity market in New Zealand. As you know, New Zealand is an island in the middle of the ocean. The nearest country to us is basically Australia. So we rely on the electricity generated with New Zealand. So we generate our own electricity basically, and currently about 60% of electricity is coming from hydro, and the second is geothermal. And this decline in use of fossil fuel, the New Zealand government has made plans to switch to 100% renewable by 2030. which is shutting down and decommissioning thermal plants, which uses coal and natural gas. There are a lot of incentives for geothermal energy, shifting from fossil fuel to geothermal use, and with also electricity. Also, a lot of work is going right now in New Zealand for injection of and capture and storage of non-condensable gases, NCGs, from geothermal, which basically currently the price for carbon in New Zealand is about $78 a ton of CO2, and that's impacting some fields with high gas, the revenue. So the work underway right now to re-inject those non-condensable gases and become more neutral, carbon neutral. At the same time, the government has plans to expand power production. A lot of companies and a lot of projects are underway at different stages. I'll be focusing this talk on my main area, which is geothermal energy education. Geothermal energy training is very specialized, as everyone knows. Well, only a few established programs around the world. Unfortunately, history has witnessed demise of several of the geothermal training programs, including New Zealand, Japan, USA, and Italy. I'm talking about international geothermal training. I know in Indonesia there is a very large program at ITB, a lot of work in geothermal and research in Gajah Mada University. I'm focusing my talk on the international programs, where taught in English mainly, attended by international students. The geothermal education requires diverse skills for teaching this program, which you don't always have them all within the university. So you do need to rely on the industry to provide some support and use some experts. These courses, by the way, are very expensive to run because we need to do field work, and field work will require additional cost on top of the normal fees for programs, for covering field trip expenses, accommodation, travel, food, and so on. At the same time, student numbers in a program are limited. You can't do a course with 100 students or more. There's health and safety reason, and it's applied teaching. So numbers, we limit them to, on average, 25, 30 students. Our students are mainly international, as I said. More than 85% are international. They come from different backgrounds, academic programs, age, and ethnicities, which require a bit of management in terms of bringing everyone to the same level of understanding when you teach them geothermal energy. So the first few weeks are designed to bring the student to the same level of understanding, refreshing, and then you build on that knowledge into geothermal. I mean, if you put the comparison with other renewables, mainly the mainstream renewables, solar energy and wind. Solar energy, you're talking about deployment of solar panels. You reduce the cost and install, same as wind. You buy those wind farms from the suppliers and install them. Geothermal requires a large set of skills, from resource exploration, geology, geochemistry, geophysics, then the engineering side, reservoir engineering, drilling, and power plant and steam field engineers and management. It's a very wide field, require a lot of experts. So training is key. And the students who come and who have background in geothermal energy, they normally excel in the industry, because they have the big picture. And that's what we do in the geothermal program in New Zealand and the other programs also. So historically, there were 4 main programs. The first one was in Italy, in Pisa. It was originally funded by the United Nations Development Program. This program stopped in '92 and never got started again. The program in Kyushu, Japan, Kyushu, started in 1970 and stopped in 2001. It was restarted after 15 years in 2016. But it stopped in after 2019 during the COVID pandemic, restarted in 21 and still running, funded by the JICA, which is the government of Japan. The program in Auckland started in 1978 under the United Nations Development Program. Then AMFAT took over the funding. AMFAT is the New Zealand Government Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. It stopped in 2002. It used to be a 1-year diploma program. The program, we restarted that in 2007 as a 1-semester, 4.5-month postgraduate certificate, and we've been running since then. The students that come to us, some of them are funded by the AMFAT scholarships. We have a lot of students funded by their employers, and we also get self-funded students. The other program is the Reykjavik, the Reykjavik in Iceland, the United Nations University, now called the UNESCO University in Japan, in Iceland, sorry. Still running, but stopped in 2020 during the COVID pandemic. So you can see there was a program in Reno, only lasted 3 years, funded by the Department of Energy in the US, and it couldn't continue once the funding stopped. The program couldn't continue. So as you can see, these programs are all dependent on funding. I've been trying very hard to make the course self-sustaining, meaning sustain itself commercially. It's a big challenge, and the COVID pandemic recently gave us a large setback in that effort, but we're still continuing, and we are running a program right now with 3 students from Indonesia. The program involves a significant fieldwork component, both on geothermal engineering. So we go to power plants. This is a direct use facility using a downhole pump near a hospital in New Zealand. Also, geothermal earth science. We visit a lot of geothermal sites with active geothermal natural features. So both engineers and earth scientists get exposed to both the engineering aspect and the earth science aspect of the course. Then they specialize either in engineering or earth science, and then they specialize with a course, with a project, of their interest. So they do a small project, whether it's in earth science or in engineering, to put all those skills they learn into practice and take it, apply it to a real case or some real data. Either they bring it from their home country or we provide them with the data and some activities from New Zealand. We run the course under all weather conditions. These courses, we run them in winter because we cannot compete with the tourist industry in New Zealand, so we can't run in summer. accommodation and travel is very expensive, so we run it in winter. Other programs run in summer. These field trips are key. The students get to know each other, enjoy learning, and very hands-on application of geothermal energy. We work with the geothermal industry. We have access to a lot of sites and equipment for the testing, and that's key to the geothermal learning. So the student collect the data and then apply the theory they learn in class on those data that they collected themselves, which is key to that field-based learning, what we call it. Our students are, as I said, more than 85 international. Mainly they come from Indonesia. About a quarter of our students come from Indonesia. More than 19% from the Philippines, 15% from Kenya. New Zealand students are only 10.4%, Australia 4.4%, and China and many other countries. We have, since 2007, we had students from more than 40 countries doing our course. Student numbers go up and down as demand change. It's actually driven by scholarships also. So the yellow is the students completing the postgraduate certificate course, which is the 1 semester course that I mentioned. But we're getting more students doing longer programs, so they come and do our geothermal courses and take it towards a higher degree, like the Master of Energy and other masters within the university and apply and do projects on that. We did offer parts of the course as short courses as a revenue for funding, but that was kind of not a successful process because you disturb the flow of the course when you bring in students halfway through the program. You need to get them up to speed, and that kind of change the dynamic of the course, where the students who knew and had the background causes kind of changes in the course flow. Gender distribution of the course is, as you can see, it's a male-dominated industry. Strong push to increase the number of female students. So we kind of average about 26%, 27% female to male. We work with women in geothermal to boost the female student numbers. But the number of female students is still below what we target, which we want to target 50% female to 50% male. Funding is key to our operation, and you can see the yellow is the MFAT sponsored students, which is the New Zealand government's scholarships. We also have the company sponsored in green, and the self-funded students who fund themselves. And over the last 2 years, the numbers of self-funded students increased, not only from New Zealand, from other parts of the world. And while we always welcome the MFAT scholarships, we want to eventually achieve self-reliance. But in the geothermal industry, most students come from developing countries where funding is limited. And that's the challenge for the entire geothermal industry and all the other geothermal education programs, where the funding comes from. And as you know, government change and their funding policies change, and you never know how much students are coming from coming funded by the government scholarship. So we try to work with the industry to have more company-sponsored students, and we also work on getting more self-funded students. A lot of those self-funded students come from Europe, but we do have, we used to get also students from Indonesia, funded by Indonesian government scholarships. And that was successful for some time, but the COVID situation has changed changed things and the dynamic of that. As you can see, so this year we have about 9 students. Last year we had 5, and that's the lowest number we ever had. So we hope that next year will be better eventually. Age distribution of our students, we get students across all the spectrum of age. We students, from early 20s to late 60s. But the main bulk of our students come from, from basically 30 to 34 age gap. Also some from 25 to 29 and 35 to 39. This is the main age group that comes. So those students come with a degree already, either in engineering or in earth science, and they normally do very well in the course because they bring in they have some industry experience. Doesn't have to be geothermal industry experience. Some of them come from other industries. But these students are more mature. They have work experience, and they experience the real life, not fresh from university, and that help with the running of the course. The students are keen to learn because they come with a lot of questions in their minds, things they want to learn and problems they want to solve, and that's make the course more interesting to them and to us. A lot of these projects we publish them in conference papers and journal papers. So we work with our students and help them publish their research, which is key in case they want to come back later on to do higher degree like a PhD. Part of the requirement is the student had some publications, and so it's integral to and many of our students who came through this course came back later on to finish PhD, and now the geothermal industry in New Zealand hire a lot of our PhD graduates, and they're starting their own research programs because they have qualified people to work and run, not only operate power plants and develop them, but also they are problem solvers and they are researchers. So they do research within these companies to solve their problems. There's a big project in New Zealand right now of working on the injection of non-condensable gases, and that's managed by one of our former PhD graduates who came through the course, worked in the industry, and later on came back to do a PhD. And many students do that nowadays, and we had students with PhD students from Indonesia over the years, and they do well when they go back home and help their companies as research capabilities within their companies, which is key to solving many technical problems, develop new technology that also give their company the edge or provide them with IP that they can potentially sell or commercialize. The challenges of COVID, I'm sure everyone was and still been affected by COVID-19. For all education programs, Many universities in particular suffered with a drop in student numbers, and that affected the viability of courses. And remote learning suddenly became mainstream for all these programs. That's same for Indonesia and many, many other countries. In the 2021, the geothermal program, we run the first fully audiovisual recorded field trip, which made it possible for our international students to attend the field trip remotely. And that was a major undertaking, so students overseas can watch the field trip and online, and they can write their reports. And we also record how we take measurements and all the small details that go with the field work, and capture to the smallest details and demonstrate it in a long set of small short movies that we record and put online. But that added additional work on the team and on our operation. And from this year, 2022, face-to-face teaching is back. But we still have some international students doing the course online, because travel to New Zealand only started from this month of August, and some of them haven't made it through the borders and visas and so on. So we're still in the transition from online to back to face-to-face throughout this year. And we hope from next year we'll go back to normal teaching, all face-to-face and in-person field trips. We hope that a number of students, we're getting a lot of interest from students from around the world to do the course. I don't know how the numbers will look like, but I'm sure it will be better than this year. And we do have a lot of, especially company-sponsored students companies insist on doing the course in person. Yeah, these are the challenges we see in geothermal education. I think with this, I finish my talk, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I like to thank the team and staff of ALMA for this kind opportunity and for allowing me to have this to speak to you today. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
All right, Mr. Sadiq Zaruk, we're very honored to have you. Thank you so much for being here. So we have collected some questions from the participants, but however, due to time constraint, we'll engage you separately and then share the questions with you, and hopefully you will have the time to answer one of them, and then we'll get back with the participants. Once again, we'd like to say thank you so much, and we'll see you again in the upcoming occasion. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we have one more keynote speaker. This is Mr. Kasumi Yasukawa with the role of Chair of IEA Geothermal. And Kasumi Yasukawa has the role of, first of all, I'd like to explain about IEA. IEA is one of the world's most authoritative source for energy statistics and produces annual studies and forecasts on energy, including geothermal. Dr. Yasukawa has worked in geothermal research since joined to Geological Survey of Japan or GSJ present AIST in 1987. To discuss about the topic of global geothermal development and technology trends, we welcome Dr. or Ms. Kasumi Yasukawa. Ms. Kasumi Yasukawa, are you with us?
Yes, I am. And I'm showing my video, but can you see my face?
Yes, we can see you right now.
Okay,
All
okay.
right.
Now I will share my presentation now.
Awesome. Okay, we'll give you the floor. The floor is yours.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And I will talk about global geothermal development and technology trend. So here is the increase of geothermal power capacity of the world. And you can see it is increasing steadily. And from year 2000 to 2020, the capacity was doubled in 20 years. And annual increase rate is approximately 3.5%. And the increase rate is more than the linear increase. So more rapid increase can be observed in recent years. And this figure shows increase of geothermal power capacity in major geothermal countries, the top 10 geothermal power companies. The number one is USA, the number two is Indonesia, and Indonesia has a very big increase in these 20 years. And Philippines is the third, but not very much increase, but Turkey showed very much increase, and also Kenya, and New Zealand, Mexico, and so on. And talking about this Turkey, that is not very rich in high temperature geothermal resources. They mainly use binary geothermal power plant, and their resources, most of their resources have a temperature around 180, not higher than 200 degrees C. So applying binary system, they are increasing geothermal capacity very rapidly. And in case of Kenya, the government invites a lot of other countries to develop geothermal power in their country. So Kenya has high temperature resources, but they also partly use this binary system. So here I can say that there are so many countries which increases geothermal power capacities, and most of them in this figure has very high temperature geothermal resources, but not all of them. Like Turkey, it's not very super hot country. Okay, this is an increase of geothermal power capacity in each region of the world. So this is North America. Sorry, I have to show the pointer. Okay, laser pointer. All right. It's North America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, and Asia Pacific. So the largest one is Asia Pacific, led by Indonesia and Philippines. But Europe has shows a big increase because of Turkey. So, but anyway, in all these continents, geothermal power capacity is increasing. And this figure shows share of geothermal power in the national power supply. And the biggest figure can be seen in Kenya. Almost 50% of their power is coming from geothermal power. And El Salvador, almost 30%, Iceland also. And New Zealand, Nicaragua, this has almost 20%. And Philippines, Costa Rica has 10%, and Indonesia 5%. So in some countries, geothermal power play important, very important roles in national power supply. And this figure shows the stages of geothermal development. And the lower part, this resource risk and investment cost. This figure has been shown by the other speaker. So because of this resource risk, geothermal power has disadvantage for the private sectors. They have to invest a lot of money before they know if they can really develop this field or not. So it's very risky to invest this money with such a lot of resource risk. So for the geothermal development, support from the government is very important. So there are some causes for success in large geothermal development in some successful countries in geothermal development. The most important thing is adequate supporting measures by the government. It shows government's will. And the second is supporting measures, but one is feed-in tariff, sales price, and also tax reduction for the geothermal power sales. And the third is supporting measure 2, initial exploration by the government. So in case of New Zealand, Turkey, the government made a lot of exploration, including drilling. So that helps private sector a lot. And the fourth reason is supporting measure 3, development by national company. So especially in developing countries. So in case of Kenya, development by national company played a big role. So supporting measures by the government is essential in any country for extensive geothermal developments. I don't have a lot of time today, so I don't show the figures for these ones, but it's one message that support by the government is very important. Now I talk about another thing, types of geothermal power plants in 2020. I'm showing all running units in the world. So it is all the cumulative power capacity and also the number of units in the world. So dry steam type is 20%, single flash 40%. So still the flash type geothermal power plant is majority, only looking at the cumulative capacity. And also, but looking at the numbers, binary is already almost 46%, even in the cumulative number. Then I will show the changes. So the left figure shows the cumulative capacity and cumulative number of units. So you see the dry steam is not increasing, double flash is not increasing, single flash is increasing, and binary is small capacity, but still very much increasing. And talking about the number of units, binary is increasing a lot. And this is cumulative number. So the right-hand side shows the additional capacity. So the new capacity in 10 years. And at first there are so much double flash, dry steam, single flash. And single flash is not decreasing, but not very much increasing, but binary is increasing a lot. And looking at the number of units, binary is increasing so much. So it is the same figure, but the time slice. So this page shows the capacity, and capacity in 1990 or before, only almost 1/3 is dry steam, 1/3 is single flash, and 1/3 is double flash. Binary is only a little. But then from 1991 to 2000, the majority is single flash, and binary is increasing. And from 2001 to 2010, binary is increasing a lot. And the most recent 10 years, binary is already more than half in the capacity. And almost 80% of the rest is single flash and small amount of double flash and triple flash. So this is the capacity. And now we are looking at the number of units. So the same tendency can be seen that at the beginning, there are many dry steam, single flash, double flash, and talking about the number, binary, it's already big at the beginning. And then the binary is increasing with time, and now 75% of new units is binary. So I can see that geothermal capacity is increasing in the world because of binary technology. Because of binary technology, you can make geothermal power generation with the resources which is 100 degrees C or even less. Sometimes at the temperature of around 100 degrees C, you can produce geothermal power with the binary technology. So not all countries in the world has very high temperature resources, but many of them have medium low temperature geothermal power, geothermal resources. In that case, binary technology is very useful. So now I talk about something related to AI technology, trend of geothermal technologies and potential AI applications. So in geothermal business, the most important technology would be exploration technology, drilling technology, and reservoir management after opening of geothermal power plant. So R&Ds have been done constantly in the world, and gradual improvements have been seen, but no drastic change observed for all these three topics. But application of AI may be a game changer. It may reduce cost. Some analysis done by the human being can be done by AI, and the cost and saving time, and may cover some lack of human resources. Lack of human resources is always the problem around the world. In some countries, some lucky countries, which has a lot of geothermal experts, but all the rest, there are shortage in the human resources. In that case, maybe AI would be very useful. And in which kind of technologies we can apply AI for geothermal? Maybe, this is just example I thought about. Joint inversion of geophysical data sets using neural network. So joint inversion is very hard, difficult technology. Joint inversion with empty data and some other electromagnetic data, or even gravity data or some other geophysical data would be very important. But if you do it analytically, it's very difficult. But if you use neural network, it could be done. An automatic drilling machine would be a very supportive thing for drilling technology. And well monitoring and trend analysis by AI could be done. And it's just my idea. And there are many other aspects we can apply AI. So I think AI may be a game changer. And even in my country, Japan, there are very recent technology development projects applying AI for geothermal technologies. And not only talking only about AI, but some technical aspect is ultra hot resources. Well, looking at the power plant trend, I told you about some other low temperature, medium low temperature binary power plants, but another aspect is ultra hot resources. Traditional geothermal countries are now looking at deeper resources. Traditional geothermal countries, maybe including Indonesia and Philippines and some other countries, but I'm talking about some technology countries, Iceland, Italy, Japan, and New Zealand, and USA. These countries have some super ultra hot resources projects, the national technology development projects. And just this figure introduced the project in Japan, targeting baseload power supply in 2040. Subduction origin supercritical geothermal resources are under study. So supercritical geothermal resources has a temperature higher than 400 degrees C or around 500 degrees C, and also high temperature, and supercritical fluid would be existing there. And just one development towards supercritical resources, we can produce a lot of geothermal energy, maybe 10 times more, 100 times bigger geothermal power. So that is a target. Okay, here's a summary. Geothermal power generation is increasing in the world, especially binary plant has been drastically increased in these 20 years and still increasing so rapidly. Since binary plant enables us to generate geothermal power even in low enthalpy fields, geothermal prospects for power generation has been enlarged in the world. Exploration, drilling, reservoir evaluation, and reservoir management technologies has been gradually improved in these 20 years or more, but no drastic change has been seen. Application of AI technology on these existing geothermal technology may be a game changer for cost reduction and business chances. Super hot geothermal resources would be another game changer for the future large-scale development. Thank you very much. This is all of my talk.
All right, Ms. Kasumi Yasukawa, thank you so much for your time. Are you still with us?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. Okay, first of all, we'd like to say we're honored to have you. Thank you so much for being here with us. We've collected some questions from the participants. However, due to time constraint, we'll share the questions with you and hopefully you will have the time to answer the questions and then give it back to us so that we can share it back to the participants for their learnings. Once again, we'd like to say thank you so much, Ms. Kasumi Yasukawa. We'll see you again on the other occasions.
Thank you.
All right, so participants, after this, we will have a career talk, but before we proceed with our event, we'll have a 2 minutes bio break. Good afternoon, our participants, ladies and gentlemen. After learning and listening to all of our 5 keynote speakers, now we'll continue today's main event with a career talk. So the topic of our career talk will be the change maker for a future geothermal energy. The speakers that we have today, we have 2 speakers and they came from well-known energy companies, especially in geothermal. From the career talk, we'll expect all of the participants, all of you guys, to understand and give a perspective to you guys on how to enter the geothermal industry. We have 2 speakers, Mr. Erwin and Ms. Yoshiko. Mr. Erwin and Ms. Yoshiko, are you with us?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Awesome. Okay. Hi. Hello, Mr. Erwin and Ms. Yoshiko.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. Welcome. First of all, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your time being here to share all of your knowledge to all of the students and participants that we have today. Okay. So before we move on, I'd like to introduce our 2 speakers. First, let me start from Mr. Herwin Aziz. So Mr. Herwin Aziz is the Manager Development Geologist at PT Supreme Energy. He graduated with Master of Technology in Geothermal Exploration Institute of Technology Bandung, and he has more than 11 years of experience in the geothermal field and involved in several activities of geothermal projects. So that was for Mr. Herwin Aziz. Next is I would like to introduce Ms. Yoshiko Adamanik. Ms. Yoshiko Adamanik is the head of HC Strategic and Development Department from PT Geodipa. Ms. Yoshiko graduated with a Master of Business Administration or MBA in Human Resource from Institute of Technology Bandung as well. And then she is in Human Capital field for more than 7 years. Awesome. Okay, so participants, students, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we have 2 amazing speakers. Before we start, I would like to remind you guys to make sure, pay attention. At the end of the session, we will have question and answer with the speakers. Make sure that you learn as much as possible through our sessions today. All right, so before I start today's event, right? First of all, I'd like to say once again, welcome and thank you so much for being here. Maybe I will start with Mr. Harun Aziz. How are you, sir?
Hi, how are you?
All right,
Very good
awesome.
afternoon here.
And Ms. Yoshiko Damanik, how are you?
I'm great. I'm good. Thank you so much for inviting us to this talk show today.
Got it. Okay, so we'll have several points of discussion that we'll go through today. We'll start with the first one. So I want to start with the career paths and prospects in each of your companies or each of your experiences. I introduced you guys before to the participants that you guys have more than 5, 7, 11 years of experience in each of your field. So the first will be, maybe we would like to understand what is the prospect of career for students to be where you are today, for example. Maybe Mr. Herwin Aziz, you would like to start with that.
Okay. My name is Herwin Aziz. I was graduated from the Geology ITB 2005. Then I continue my professional career as the geologist, mine geologist actually, not starting from geothermal. I start my work for the mining industry in Freeport as the mine geologist, surface mine geologist. Then I back to the campus, take my master degree on the geothermal exploration master degree in ITB in 2009 and 2011, 2012 actually. And then I start work on geothermal industry since 2011 until now. So that's my head career so far, and I'm enjoying working for the geothermal now, and yeah, so much experience can be get for this from this, especially from my company now, Supreme Energy. That's all my career path.
Right, thank you so much for sharing, sir. What about you, Ms. Yoshiko?
Can you see? Can you hear my?
Yes,
my
we
voice
can
clearly?
hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you so much. So, the question is about the career path and prospect in my company, especially in state-owned enterprise in geothermal industry in Indonesia. So, of course, there is a big prospect in state-owned enterprise for undergraduate and also for young professional in Indonesia. So, Geodipa has received many geothermal assignments from the government, the Indonesian government, while we also try to boost our production capacity from our second unit in Dieng and also in Patuha, West Java, that hopefully will start to operate in 2024. So you can imagine in 2024, we also will recruit more undergraduate and young professionals because our units in Dieng and Patuha and also other government drillings from the government assignment for us also will make us need more and more human capital in our company. Career path in Geodipa is divided into dual career path, which is from one. First of all, it's a structural career path, and then the functional career path. For structural career path, it is the career path where in the beginning our employee will start from staff or operator level to supervisor, and then to department level or to the assistant manager, and then to the division head or manager level, and finally to the vice president or general manager level. And for functional career path in Geodipa, it is the kind of career path that for example, the employee will begin from the junior engineer to the engineer and then to the senior engineer. I think this is the explanation of the career path in Geodipa.
So much for sharing, Miss. So if I were to give a conclusion, right? So from Miss Yoshika's experience, so for those who are interested to join in that field, of course, there are a lot of prospects. I mean, the fact that Miss Yoshiko had 7 years of experience in the field, and then Mr. Herwin has 11 years of experience, I think that speaks for itself, right? But then in terms of the prospect itself, as students and young professional, you guys don't have to worry. Right. So that was the first discussion. We've established that if people are interested to be like you, quote unquote, or to join in your industry, there is prospect there, right? And then the second discussion I think that I would like to bring will be, how is the recruitment processes? Is there any specific qualification do we have to have? Do we have to have experience beforehand before we even get the chance to join in your field? Maybe Ms. Yoshiko, you would like to start with this one.
Okay. The recruitment process in Geodipa for both of the career paths will be the same. Of course, there is a screening process for the resume and all the CVs that is come to us, and then the psychological assessment for entry level, and also competency assessment for pro-hire or for structural position. And then there is an interview with human capital and also user, and then there is a fit and proper test. Yes. So in our company in Geodipa, there are fit and proper test process from staff to the pro-hire level. That you will be presenting your work plan in Geodipa if you are recruited by us, and also the question and answer session with our director also. And if you are selected to the other process, to the other session, you will be there will be a medical checkup, and then also final offering, and then there is also probation. I think that's all for our recruitment process in Geodipa.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Yoshiko. So basically, the general recruitment process is kind of similar with the rest of the companies, but then students or young professional will have to face the final interview with the director as one of the final stages, right? And then, Mr. Herwin, what about in Supreme Energy?
Yeah, of course, in the Supreme Energy is almost similar with the other company recruitment process. Sometimes it started from the users asking for the recruitment to the HR department, but sometimes also it's coming through from the HR to the user. It depends on the classification of the employee or the candidate. But so far, I think the process is mostly similar. There is some pre-screening, meaning the background, etc. This is based on the CVs, and if the candidate meet the qualification, then we'll be continue with the interview, and then in the interview we'll be showing what is the candidate actually have. Beside the technical, also need to check about the non-technical side, the personality and the emotional question probably, and also the intellectual question. And then, yeah, how to in the interview also we sometimes give some case study and give some comment or how to resolve the problem to start based on the candidate experience or candidate knowledge on it. But there is a two type also from the recruitment side. There is we call it as the trainee, and then as the directly as the professional. Trainee mostly coming from the fresh grade or unexperienced employee, but the professional hiring will be has some limit number of years experience before we hiring the candidate. So I think there is no special recruitment process in the Supreme as long as the candidate meet the requirement so they can fulfill the position. And that's the process in Supreme Energy.
Got it. Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Herwin. So what I concluded is that from both Supreme Energy and from a perspective of Ms. Yoshiko, in both companies, participants or fresh graduates will go through probation. So the next discussion point will be, what are the skills needed for us to ensure that once we are in, we get to pass the probation? Maybe I will start with Mr. Herwin.
Yeah, of course. I think this is a basic knowledge, but about the process for the recruitment, need to give some probation for the new hiring employee. I think that's why the process will be depend on the user itself. Sometimes it needs a long time for the probation, but sometimes it only need direct hiring process, no need to get some probation. But I think that's depend on the position to be fulfilled, and then the user itself. I think not much different with the company. I think, Mr. Andrew.
So,
Edward, sorry.
Yeah. So, Ms. Yoshiko, to on top of the question and the answer that have been said by Mr. Herwin, so what are the do's and don'ts for candidates to pursue career in energy company, Ms. Yoshiko?
Okay. The do's and the don'ts. Okay. I think I have no specific particular do's and don'ts for recruitment in geothermal energy company. But I think this is the important thing that I will try to say to you all, especially those who wants to work in geothermal industry. First thing first, you need to get to know our company or get to know the geothermal industry itself, because many of the fresh graduates, especially those who with non-engineering or science educational background, didn't know about our company's industry. So make sure that if you are passed through the screening screening stage, and you are invited to interview with us, or if you are invited to meet us, please get to know our company. There is so many information about geothermal energy and also our company's companies in social media, in media. You can just Google it, and then you can also know about our plan in the future, know about where is our unit from, in JIWA or maybe in Supreme. So just get to know about our company. It is very pleasure for us to know that our candidates also know about our industry. And also, we would like to see your unique style, because for us, especially for us human capital, you are our capital, you are our asset, and we want to help you to reach your full potential in our company with your uniqueness and your competencies that you own. So it is a pleasure for us to know your uniqueness and to be who you are. That is from me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Yoshiko. So I think what's interesting from your statement is that candidates have to understand that you are the company's capital, you are the company's asset. And then I think Mr. Herwin also mentioned this, that once the candidates are in, the company also wants to help and develop your skills as well, so that you also can pass the probation phase. So from the explanation and then the question, so we will go to the final discussion point, and that is what usually is missing from the candidate based on user recruitment throughout the recruitment process. So we know that all the recruitments are coming from the user. And then what's the one thing that's usually missing from candidates who apply to a certain position? Maybe Mr. Herwin, you want to get that one?
Yeah, like Yoshiko mentioned previously, that candidates should know what is the company he would like to enter. So that's the basic principle to be fulfilled by the candidate. Because before we entering something, then we need to know what is we would like to enter. And we have some experience hiring some candidate with some earth science basic, for example, geology. But I think the what important is to not only the candidate is not only understanding about the geology, he need to know and also about the other aspect of the geothermal, for example, the geochemistry and the geophysics. No need to have a deep understanding about both, but I think at least they know the basic principle. Because geothermal is not only single geology. For example, this is I mentioned what the experience, not only based on the geology, but also get some input from the geochemist and the geophysics basic. So yeah, sometimes the candidate doesn't get some deep knowledge on the geothermal as the unity. Sometimes they just focusing on their basic, because if they can have knowledge in the aspect of the earth science in geothermal is better, because that will be giving them some value added for him or her, and it will be better for the recruiter or the user to choose which one has a good knowledge to be a candidate for the employee. I think, yeah, what I make it short that if someone coming from the geology basic, for example, and he know much better also about the geochemistry and the geophysics, that will be very helpful for the candidate to decide. But I think, yeah, it's not easy, but I think we can have a try. No need to get it only from the class. You can have it by the experience or by reading much literature or studying if not much information from the paper itself. I think that will be helpful, and then that will be make added value for the candidate during the hiring process. That's what I can say.
All right, Mr. Herwin, thank you so much. I think that's very comprehensive, right? So before we continue, I'd like to remind the participants after this, we will have a drop CV session. So you guys better pay attention to the answer and explanation from our speakers. Okay, so speakers, we have collected questions from the participants. The first one is from Andu. I think this is a little bit specific. The question is there any opportunity if the candidate has more experience in oil and gas company, but is going to pivot to geothermal company? What will be the major skills needed within that transition? I'll give this one to Ms. Yoshiko.
Okay, Ando, if you will come from oil and gas background, you can also enter the geothermal industry. It is because we have the similarities from several competencies, especially technical competencies in the geothermal industry that is same with the oil and gas company, such as like a reservoir engineer and then our production engineer and so on. So if you are coming from the oil and gas background, don't be discouraged because your background, we still encourage everyone that is coming not from the geothermal background to apply to our company. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, Miss. So basically, there is opportunity, right? Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that question.
Yes. Opportunity for everyone.
Got it. Okay, thank you for answering that one. Okay, so next question, this is anonymous. And the question is, what is the reasoning behind the low frequency of job openings in this industry, basically, especially in geothermal industry? And then if that is compared to other sectors, for example, like energy industry, they seem to have more job openings. I'll give this to Mr. Herwin.
Yeah, that's the reality in the geothermal industry. Maybe not much company is focusing on this industry, and I think for the development itself, for example, Supreme Energy, even though we have three field, but the manpower for the subsurface team is not much. We can focusing on the less than 20 people. I think that's also challenging because that's why need to have more company to be involved in the geothermal. Much resource need to be developed. Nowadays, I think there is oil company starting go back to the geothermal industry. I think that's a good news. But I think when the time is come, and then when we need to have more worker on the geothermal, I think that will become. But for now on, I think the industry of geothermal is not much evolving yet, not much developed yet. I think that's why the sometimes you don't see any job vacancy in the geothermal industry, because the industry is currently considered small, not too much company involved in this area.
All right, Mr. Herwin, thank you so much for explaining that. I think that's understandable. So we have one last question from the participants. Have to go to the next question. So this is the final question. All right, so I'll give this question to both of our speakers. What is the best way for fresh graduates, especially from geologists, to start a career in geothermal field? Because the opportunity to work, as has been explained by Mr. Herwin, is very limited, and compared to other mining field, for example. So what is the best way, would you say? I will give the first one to Ms. Yoshiko.
Okay, so what is the best and fast way for student from geology background to work in geothermal is to I think that if you are already engaged in a project that is from geothermal industry, it will be a very good change for you to be seen by the user and also by the human capital, because you already know about the basic of geothermal industry in this company. If you are engaged in the project from another company, it is okay. If you are already engaged in the project, if you are involved like from the data gathering, or you are involved with your lecturer in geothermal industry, it is the best and the fastest way for the user and the human capital in the geothermal industry to recognize you when you are applying to the company. I think that is from me.
Josiko. So, Mr. Herwin, what do you think about that?
Yeah, cannot agree more with Yoshiko. That's correct. Having much project working with the lecturer in the campus is helpful. That's what my experience previously. So I'm get hired to Supreme because I have a project previously with the Supreme, and then it's maybe one of the key reason why I can join Supreme at the time. So having a project, involving in the project in the campus will be helpful to give some additional information, additional knowledge to the fresh grad especially, but also can be as the recognition for the company, because once you get project and then you give some presentation to the company, and then they recognize you, and then maybe once there is a position available, they just know you and then they can hire you. I think that's a good approach. If you can get some project involving in the geothermal, is very good. And having updating on the development of the geothermal, for example, the software. I think that's a good news with the I-Lima project. I show some I-Lima have a much program to give some knowledge for the fresh grade, and also give some course for the fresh grade, and then a new grade is a very good step by I-Lima. And I think that's one of the what we call it, one of the way to have a more knowledge in the geothermal.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Herwin. So if I were to give a final conclusion, the best way will be for students and young professionals to be involved in projects and to get learnings from there. We understand you guys have mentioned before that the job openings and the opportunities are very limited. But then if you are experienced, you get a lot of learnings. I think when there is a will, there is a way. All right, Mr. Herwin, Ms. Yoshiko, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate this. I think the participants get a lot of learnings from this special session. And once again, we'd like to say we're honored to have you, Mr. Herwin, Ms. Yoshiko. We'll see you again in upcoming occasion. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, participants, we are approaching the end of our main event today, and that is the awarding ceremony. So, this is the awarding. All right, so this is the awarding for JIWA Thermal Study Case competition that was held prior to today's main event. With a total of registered 30 groups, we have selected 8 finalists that have went through the final sessions of the competition. And the finalists are Yonia Termika, Eva Pro, Giorgio, Kawanua, Once again, we would like to say congratulations to all 8 participants and finalists that have went through the finals. And then today, we'll announce which groups are the winners of our study case competition for JIWA Thermal 2022. We will start with the 3rd winner. So, the 3rd place for JIWA Thermal Study Case Competition 2022 goes to Farm 3.0. Congratulations to Farm 3.0 for winning the 3rd position of our study case competition. And then next is we'll announce the 2nd winner of our study case competition goes to Kawanua. Congratulations, Kawanua. And then right now we will announce the champion of JIWA Thermal Study Case Competition 2022 goes to Ionia Thermica. Congratulations, Ionia Thermica. Once again, we'd like to say congratulations to all winners. 3rd place goes to Warren 3.0. 2nd winner is Kawanua. And the 1st winner, congratulations for being the champion of JIWA Thermal Study Case Competitions 2022. All right, so we are at the end finally of our main event for JIWA Thermal 2022. And this is the time for us to continue what we announced earlier in today's main event, and that is the drop-in CV session. Right now, we will give you the announcement and the step-by-step of how you can get your CV in to the companies who are participating in today's event. So for all participants, you can head to jiwa.i5.co.id and then you can register yourself. Choose the user type, either you are a student or a professional single. And then once you register, you can log in with your username and password. Just a reminder, the username and password are sent to your email once you register to the website. And then you may click the career to join. There is an option for you to join us, and then you can select your desired position, and then you click apply now, and then you can write your cover letter, and then you can drop your CV there. And after that, it's done. You can just wait for the next announcement from I5 committee. All right, so participants, if you still have questions about the drop-in CV sessions, you may reach one of our committees, and then we will try our best to answer your questions. And as an announcement, please do fill in the attendee form as well as the satisfactory form for your certificate. And then I believe that the link has been sent to each of the participants. Once again, we would like to remind you guys, this is an announcement to please fill in the attendee form as well as the satisfactory form for your certificate. We have sent the link to all participants for you to fill in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, participants, once again, we are at the end of JIWA Thermal 2022. The main event, we would like to say thank you so much for your participation. We would like to say thank you for all the keynote speakers and our talk show hosts and speakers. We'll see you again on our next year's event. Thank you so much and bye-bye.
Mindset kita bahwa kita akan mengembangkan suatu geothermal power plant itu selama 30 tahun. Bicara kita mau bangun power plant dengan target pembangkitan sekian, pembiayaan dari item-item tersebut yang tadi sudah kita lihat bersama, suatu reservoir geothermal itu pasti mengalami declining. Nah, nanti sumur ini yang akan besar dana grant ini dibatasi maksimal itu $30 juta.
Di situ kita bisa plotkan, pertama kita lihat secara proksimal dulu ya. Jadi, nah itu dia ada pengurangan berapa persen gitu ya. Nah kemudian misalnya di injek 1900, ini adalah contoh dari simple model yang coba kita rekonstruksi. Itu sebenarnya suatu metode komputasi ya. Di sini langkah pertama yang kita modelkan adalah kita input dulu ya data-data fractures kita ya. Jadi kita bisa melihat sekarang korelasi antara struktur yang prominent.
Mindset kita bahwa kita akan mengembangkan suatu geothermal power plant itu selama 30 tahun. Bicara kita mau bangun power plant dengan target pembangkitan sekian, pembiayaan dari item-item tersebut yang tadi sudah kita lihat bersama, suatu reservoir geothermal itu pasti mengalami declining. Nah, nanti sumur ini yang akan besar dana grant ini dibatasi maksimal itu $30 juta. Nah, di situ kita bisa plotkan, pertama kita lihat secara proksimal dulu ya. Jadi, nah itu dia ada pengurangan berapa persen gitu ya. Nah kemudian misalnya di injek 1900, ini adalah contoh dari simple model yang coba kita rekonstruksi. Itu sebenarnya suatu metode komputasi ya. Di sini langkah pertama yang kita modelkan adalah kita input dulu ya data-data fractures kita ya. Jadi kita bisa melihat sekarang korelasi antara struktur yang prominent.
mindset kita bahwa kita akan mengembangkan suatu geothermal power plant itu selama 30 tahun. Bicara kita mau bangun power plant dengan target pembangkitan sekian, pembiayaan dari item-item tersebut yang tadi sudah kita lihat bersama, suatu reservoir geothermal itu pasti mengalami declining. Nah, nanti sumur ini yang akan besar di gram ini dibatasi maksimal itu 30 juta dolar.
Nah, di situ kita bisa plotkan. Pertama kita lihat secara proksimal dulu ya. Jadi, nah itu dia ada pengurangan berapa persen gitu ya. Nah kemudian misalnya di injek 1900, ini adalah contoh dari simple model yang coba kita rekonstruksi. Itu sebenarnya suatu metode komputasi ya. Di sini langkah pertama yang kita modelkan adalah kita input dulu ya data-data fractures kita ya. Jadi kita bisa melihat sekarang korelasi antara struktur yang prominent.
Mindset kita bahwa kita akan mengembangkan suatu geothermal power plant itu selama 30 tahun. Bicara kita mau bangun power plant dengan target pembangkitan sekian, pembiayaan dari item-item tersebut yang tadi sudah kita lihat bersama, suatu reservoir geothermal itu pasti mengalami declining. Nah, nanti sumur ini yang akan besar di gram ini dibatasi maksimal itu 30 juta dolar. Di situ kita bisa plotkan. Pertama kita lihat secara proksimal dulu ya. Jadi, nah itu dia ada pengurangan berapa persen gitu ya. Nah kemudian misalnya di injek 1900, ini adalah contoh dari simple model yang coba kita rekonstruksi. Itu sebenarnya suatu metode komputasi ya. Di sini langkah pertama yang kita modelkan adalah kita input dulu ya data-data fractures kita ya. Jadi kita bisa melihat sekarang korelasi antara struktur yang prominent.